Walking along the meadow, you'll come across a beautiful, breathtaking plant called the painted daisy. Now, these daisies were originally seen in the 16th and 17th century in Mediterranean areas. They were grown, they grew everywhere, and the colorful plants really made people stand up and take notice. So I included this in with the meadow garden. So you have two different size of the petals. So you're going to get two of each. You've got some very leafy leaves, and then you've got the centers to put in. And this die does include your ladybugs. So the thing you want to take notice of is the coloring. Just like our Cymbidium orchids, they may take a little time, but well worth it. Now I'm going to do this white version because I'm putting it on a dark background. So it has this explosive colors in the center. And I'm starting with a yellow. This is Olo's 2.3. And you can see I've already colored two of the petals. So you've got this set to do. So then what I'm going to add is a little bit of red, but instead of doing somewhat of a coloring, let me put it this way. This is R1.5. I'm just kind of dab at it. I want it to look kind of a little abstract. And I'll do this to both, or all four of the petals actually, the smaller ones and the larger ones. Lots of interesting information. These are deer resistant, and they aren't that invasive. They won't aggressively spread. So, you may find that you like these in your yard for that reason. Now I'm taking a little bit of this is magenta, and just kind of dabbing that pink in areas, that bright pink above the red. Do that to both. The reason why I'm not using an alcohol pen is I want it to look more shaded than, really stand out. It's just a little bit of that magenta above, or that hot pink color above the red. Now, as you'll notice on these, I've gone back and taken a fine pen and just made some little, I don't know, scratch marks, maybe you call them. It's just the little lines that go up in there like the color is bleeding up into the next color. They come in all sorts of colors, and there are solid ones. Although when I think of painted daisies, I think of the ones that are really brightly colored, and you can, like I said, Google them and see all the different colors they come in. So on to shaping these. I'm going to turn them right side down onto my mat here and give them a slight spritz. Then all you need to do is take your tweezers, and you're going to go around and just pinch closely to where the center is. You want to leave these outer parts somewhat rounded. You don't want to have a tight, because they are a little broader petal. And you're going to do this to all four of the shapes. I'll do the two large here. And you can see how I'm pinching around the tighter part or the narrow part of the tweezer to get a nice bend in the petal, but leaving that outer part of the petal nice and rounded. Now we have these smaller petals to do, and same sort of technique. Try to get in. I know the petals are a little shorter, but do try to get in there and pinch close to the center of the flower there. You know, ever since we've done, or I did the Victorian garden, I talked about the meaning of flowers. And this painted daisy has a meaning too. So if you're maybe giving this to someone, you might want to make it for a housewarming, because it stands for purity, innocent, new beginnings, joy, cheerfulness. And so it symbolized a lot of those things that you can, you know, put with your projects. And these are a big flower that make a statement. Now we're going to go with the medium ball stylus and just kind of circle around that center until it pops up. And we're going to do this on all 4 shapes. Now this is also a butterfly attractor. So it is another reason to maybe put it in your garden. Not overly invasive, and it attracts butterflies and deer resistant. So it's a nice perennial to have. I'm going to go ahead and build mine on my project here. And you will notice I've used this wildly beautiful embossing folder that has the painted daisy at the bottom here. So I'm going to leave that open so you can see it, and just put another one here. And I've paired these with the black alder. It had the little red berries, and I thought it picked up on a little bit of the red in the flower. You're going to build these right on top of each other, but always offsetting, so you have that nice full flower. So as I go up, I make sure the next layer goes right in between the one below it. You know, it's also an insect repellent, and so if you're bothered with maybe mosquitoes or gnats in your area, you might want to try this. Okay, so for the centers, you have that plate that you're going to cut 3 times, and that'll make 90 pieces. And I know that sounds like a lot, but these centers are as big as the flowers. So if you want to take, I always suggest you have a toothpick in your opposite hand. And I'm just going to start laying these in the center. Now I put them on my mat here. This is a moo block that's very firm. And that's what I take with my small ball stylus here. And I've cupped these. So you just press in the center to cup them. And you want a little harder surface. These are tiny. I'm afraid that you'll get them punched through your normal mat. So if you don't have one of these, you can use a one of the blocks here, the pink one from I can't think of the name of it, or you can use a eraser. But you need to do all, well, it comes out to 90 pieces, but that's what makes the center. They're as big as the flower, or as full. As you can see, I've already done that one. So it's just a matter of a little dip, and like I said, I do use a toothpick in my opposite hand, so I can just get that little piece to release. And I usually go all the way around and kind of create the circle first before I start filling in. Make sure it's, as big as I want it. And then you can start filling in the center. So I've got just the last few to put on. And you can see how it's mounded up very nicely. Although, it will with the glue. Glue shrinks so as it dries. So this will pull down a little bit, and you can leave them just like this, but I'm going to show you how the centers, they're just as fantastic sometime and just as colorful. So I will show you that in a minute. Okay, last one. There we go. So while the centers are drying, let's talk about our leaves. They are very airy, almost like the Queen Anne's lace. So I'm going to color them. This is YG 8.5. It's that lighter green. But they really do have kind of a yellowish green tone to them. So we're going to shade it with another color on top. Not blend, but just, it's almost like changing into another hue altogether. So I'm going to take, and then now use my, let's see, this is Y 2.5. It's kind of a yellow-green. It's called avocado. But I'm going to go over this and change it up a bit, which you can see. It really brings out the yellow in the green, which is what you want with these leaves. And color both sides, yes. And then we're going to put them on our mat right side up. These are so delicate that you're not going to be able to do, a lot of bending and twisting of them like we do our other leaves. But I am going to draw a line down the center to define the stem line. And then I'm going to take just a fine line pen, and this is just like a dark green, and just kind of lightly sketch over top of it. I'm not drawing a really solid line. I just want to get a little bit of shading there. Then you can take your tweezers and kind of bend up on that stem line. And you can see it does define it a bit. You can see that bend by doing it on the right side with this one. And you want to bend up all those little projections, those little tiny leaves. And we've got some more here. They're a very leafy plant. So, cut as many as you want. I always say, 2 to 3 times for each flower, but, really it's up to you how many leaves you want to put in. And I can use some of this glue I had out for the centers. If you can see that better. Kind of matches on the embossing folder and really brings out, there's a little one here too. These are so pretty, and like I said, they really do make a statement, so they're nice to do. So you can leave that with the centers like that, but I like to take it a step further and get them colored as well. I'm going to set this. This is just a coffee filter paper, and I'm using these brown prills, which is Express Yourself, aptly named. And then I'm going to grab a little spoon here. Now this one's nice and dry. This one's probably still a little wet, but I think we can get away with doing it. So I'm just going to grab and put a little dots of glue just to hold some of those frills. What it does is give you a little bit more detail to your centers. Like I said, that one's probably still a little wet, but you can see it's mounded up nicely. And then I'm just going to take these brown frills and put on top here. Really cover that glue. Now the reason I use the coffee filter paper is that I'm going to tilt this. I don't want to waste any of those frills. Now the other thing it has is I'm using a Posca pen. I don't know if, make sure, yeah, I don't want it coming out too much. But just in the center there, you've got a pink center on this one. So it will color not only the frills, but it would color those little seed-like things that we put in. And so each one of these white ones did have a little pink center. And like I said, all you need to do is pay attention to the colors that you find in Google, or you might even have grown these and get your favorite coloring done and see how the centers are just as colorful as its petals. Now this not only had a little bit of pink, but it had a little bit of yellow. So I want to make sure, yeah, the yellow's coming out. So the yellow was just like a little ring around the outside here. And if you're going to spend this time on doing these flowers, you do want to make them as natural as possible. You want people to recognize that that's a painted daisy. So that's it. The only other thing we need to add is our little ladybug. So I've colored her and shaped her on this little eraser here. I'm going to add a little bit of glue, and I think I'm going to put her, I'm going to turn this around and put her up here midway. Now I'm using Beacon's Choice glue, so I know that's going to dry clear, so don't worry. And then I'm going to take a little bit of glaze and just put on her shell. There we go. And that's your finished project. That is the painted daisy.